Hi, Howard Jacobson here, and I want to share with you today a concept that I got from a book I'm in the middle of called The Three Laws of Performance. And the concept is that of the life sentence. And the life sentence is something that we do to ourselves, usually when we're quite young, when something happens and it makes us wrong. And it makes us in our own minds wrong and flawed and basically broken. And what we do in that moment is we rescue the situation somehow, and in that rescuing, we then say, because we are wrong and broken in this way, we have to compensate by appearing to be X. So the examples in the book are one of the co-authors did poorly on a test in middle school and was placed in the lowest section in 7th grade. And the message he got was, I am stupid, I'm not smart. And he decided right then and there that if he wasn't smart, at least he could study harder than anyone else. And so his life sentence was, you're not smart, so you have to be really, really studious. Now, in a lot of ways, you can see that that compensating mechanism probably served him very well. There's a lot of other ways you could approach deciding that you're not smart. You could become a slacker, you could start a life of crime, but he decided he was going to compensate. And so that's nothing wrong with that, with being a hard worker, except the other part of the equation was reinforced by it. So I am studying hard, I'm working hard because I'm not smart. And the because I'm not smart meant that there was a whole range of contributions that he didn't feel qualified to make all through his life until he dealt with this life sentence and brought it, as the authors say, to the Court of Appeals, where, you know, if you were the judge and the defendant and the jury in that early, and the prosecutor in that early time, later in life, when you become aware of it, you can reverse that life sentence. You can say, well, you know what, the facts really don't support that sentence. They support a different outlook, that I am smart. Or I might not do well on tests, but I'm smart. Or I did poorly that particular day. Or I hadn't studied. And a whole bunch of much more reasonable views of the situation, which can totally rewrite who we think we are now. So I was thinking back to a time that resonated with me in terms of that template, that model. And I was maybe 11 or 12 years old, and I was going out shoveling driveways to make money. And I was with a couple of neighbor kids who were maybe a year or two younger than me. And I thought of myself as the mastermind. And I explained to them that we were going to go to people's houses and we were going to say a price, but then we were going to do it for less. So that we were going to start high and then they'd haggle and then we'd come down to the price we really wanted. And I thought this was very clever and businesslike. And I don't remember exactly what happened, but basically the first house we got to, they rang the bell and I was kind of waiting out back. I, for some reason, didn't want to be right up there. And before the woman opened the door, I said, remember to start high and come low. And it turns out that the woman had opened the door and had heard that. And she looked at us and said something very cross, and she would never do business with us, and slammed the door. And I think for me that was a moment of life sentencing. And the life sentence that I imposed upon myself was, you're never going to be worth the money. And I have felt myself struggle with that for many, many years, especially in terms of pricing. How much do I charge? Some prices felt ridiculously low, and the minute they stopped feeling ridiculously low, they started feeling ridiculously high, unsupportably high. And so I would bounce back and forth between feeling like I'm doing this for almost nothing, and the result of that would be it would be unsustainable. So I started several programs where I charged so little that I simply wasn't motivated to keep them going, and other things where I charged so much. And I thought it was, like big ego, like, oh, I wrote a book, I get to be an expert. But I would charge so much that no one would afford it. Or more probably, I charged so much that I did not feel like I was worth it, and therefore I put out, I'm not worth it signals. So there was a life sentence that I imposed upon myself at that moment to never feel that again, like I had cheated someone, like I had been sleazy with pricing. And so I really want to thank the authors of the book, whose names are escaping me at the moment, but you can look it up on Amazon or anywhere, The 3 Laws of Performance, really enjoying it and getting a lot out of it. And I invite you to look back and see, is there a life sentence that you've imposed upon yourself that is limiting you in some way from reaching your full potential? That's all for now. Talk to you later.